This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1761, Previews.
Laser beams, opinions like the seasons on everything you read in comics, movies, games, toys, artists, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek, uniting the world's mightiest heroes. This is...
I'm Adam Murdo.
I'm Ian Levinstein.
And I'm Chris Eberly. Murdo, it's the first time I've ever heard you squeal. It's thrilling.
Like a pig. Yep. Just a little something different.
It's like you were going full morning drive time right there.
For a lot of people listening to this, that's exactly what we're doing, so why not?
Hell yeah.
Brothers, both your voices are a tonic for the spirit.
No less so yours for ours, sir.
Indeed, brother. Thank you. And as always, let's put on our previews armor.
Starting a week with some comics.
Yep. You guys ready to dive right in, or anything you want to say first?
Well, actually, yeah. Well, let's get some logistics out of the way.
Let's do it.
As the deadline for Best of has been extended by 1 week, and that's we're recording this on Monday the 10th. The original deadline was going to be Sunday, the 9th of February, but we have extended that until Sunday, the 16th of February. So you'll have until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to send in your best of suggestions to bestof@comicgeekspeak.com. And how many categories is that again, Murd?
That is 16 categories, Ian. We do ask that you nominate only one thing in each category in which you nominate anything, and please nominate that one thing in at least 8 of the 16 categories, at least half.
Yep. And then once we tally up your votes, all the geeks we can fit into a Skype call. We'll get on said Skype call and give our best ofs, and we'll go ahead and add yours into the pot as well, and we'll have a nice voting round and then come back with our final best ofs of the previous year.
And a good time will be had by all.
Of course.
If nothing else,
Indeed.
It's a great way to learn about the sort of things that our fellow members of the geek community have been reading in the course of the past year.
I know you had some crunch time submissions coming in from people who thought that they were last minute suggesting, but now you're a week early.
See, you're conscientious in spite of yourselves.
Exactly.
Ian, I like that, Troy and the mustache tying the girl to the railroad track laugh you had just there. Well done, sir.
Ha ha ha. And I think that's about it on the logistics. And what is our previews catalog number?
We're looking at catalog number 377. It's the February dated catalog for items mostly arriving in shops in April of this year.
Excellent. All right, let's get crack-a-lackin'.
Well, image page 38. In. Fraction. Dotson and Dotson, Adventure Man #1. I don't even care what it's about. That creative team is enough. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's a great creative team at a spectacular price. It's wildly affordable, we're told here. It's 64 pages for the standard price of 32, so that is pretty good.
Sure is.
It sounds like a very interesting law firm, too, the law firm of Fraction, Dotson, and Dotson.
I'd keep him on retainer.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an adventure comic from Matt Fraction. So and it looks like with a sci-fi bent or steampunk bent or both. So I'm in.
It sounds like, looking at the copy here, that it could be is it a story within a story, or does a character a la the Purple Rose of Cairo jump out of the story into reality? I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, Matt Fraction is such a great writer.
Oh yeah,
and the Dotsons, my God! I mean, look at this. Look at the sample art. The next couple of pages.
Yeah, no, their art just gets better and better, and I really like the coloring on these pages too. The sort of like the inky coloring adds to the setting really nicely.
Well, and looking at these pages because she's working in looks like a used bookstore. When I see this, it makes me wax nostalgic for my own shop because I always loved when I had my store. I loved the smells, not of the customers, some of which were utterly repugnant, but of the old comics. Can't beat that.
And then the very next thing in the previews on page 42, talk about in.
Yeah, me too.
Kirkman, Somni, and Wilson with the prelude to the new ongoing Firepower series. This is a OGN that sets us up for that ongoing. Sounds damn good to me.
It's only $9.99 too.
Yeah, it's a lot right here. I mean, obviously, as comics go up in price, it's nice to see that Image sticks to the $9.99 price tag for that first trade, and this counts as the first trade. So go ahead and do it.
Yep.
And I believe the first issue of the monthly is coming out on Free Comic Book Day. Yes.
Correct. Yep. And I've already pre-ordered it, so I might as well read the prelude to that in the form of this 160-page OGN.
Yep. Yeah, sort of like a Shang-Chi Iron Fisty type story being told by Kirkman and Somni here. And I just said the two magic words for Chris.
Well, I just got a little, I kind of gyrated in my seat in a non-sexual way, of course, but
Oh yeah, of course.
But yeah, Ian, you know how to push my buttons. So yeah, I love Somni's artwork especially, so I'm really looking forward to that.
And and speaking of people we love, the very next solicitation,
Kieran Gillen.
Man, Image is
they're just rolling them out this month.
Yeah, seriously, 5-issue miniseries. So I will wait for trade. But Kieran Gillen and Jim
Rossignol, I believe. I think it's Rossignol.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a concept that those two gentlemen have been batting back and forth between them for the better part of 2 decades, apparently. It was announced at an Image panel back in 2015, and now it's finally getting itself into print, with art by Jeff Stokely and colors by Tamara Bonvillain. And it's difficult to high concept something like this. It's just so gleefully bizarre. But and I think Kieran Gillen, I've actually looked this up online. He's come up with plenty of over-the-top analogies for what this book's going to be like. I'm going to go with one of my own making, though. To me, it kind of looks like Game of Thrones if it were set in the 5th-dimensional realm of Zerth. It's just... it's bizarre in and of itself, and bizarreness... ludicrousness is also within the story. It's the core value of this otherworldly aristocracy, full of loonies who enjoy being loonies for the sake of being loonies. And it's Kieran Gillen just ramping things up another notch in terms of storytelling, and also not. It looks like it's going to be a book that doesn't take itself quite as seriously, even as some of the things that Gillen has done lately. And Gillen is not one to take anything that he does. With a few exceptions, entirely seriously to begin with. So this is just going to be fun, and high-concept fun at that, and I think I'm not going to be able to resist.
It certainly does look like an analog from Mixyx-Pidalek begging for mercy, saying that I can be ludicrous on page 47. So yeah. It's definitely got me intrigued.
Yeah, that doesn't work out well for him on page 49.
Right. He's apparently in this world, he's the boring one.
And as this character says, boring people never change.
Mm-hmm.
But they do get decapitated, apparently.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Mm-hmm. Got a OGN that I'll shout out on page 54. Just because I like the fact that OGNs are still being made. That and should be made more of, frankly, because I like getting the full story in one package. Waiting.
Oh, and it's Declan Shalvey.
Oh yeah. That's immediately got me interested. But it's about a Irish gangster on the run after a job gone wrong stumbles upon a young man lost in the Dublin mountains. Injured and unarmed, the unlikely pair must try to evade their pursuers and survive the desolate bog that has served as a burial ground for unspeakable murder throughout history. You had me at desolate bog.
That's a great phrase. Another OGN I'm really excited about, which I'll be picking up on page 56. Paul is dead, as in Paul McCartney. John Lennon can't speak. He can't take his eyes off the photo of a car in flames with Paul McCartney's body inside. His friend is no longer here, and that means the Beatles are no longer here either. But John wants to know the truth, and with George Ringo, he will begin to re-examine the final hours of Paul's life. Set in the magical atmosphere of Abbey Road Studios during the writing sessions for Sgt. Pepper. Paul is Dead is the definitive version of the legend of Paul McCartney's death.
This sounds so cool.
I mean, any Beatles fan knows about the whole Paul is dead.
Right.
You know, play the record backwards, that whole thing. And now they're doing a whole, based on the whole original graphic novel on that. I think it's fantastic. So,
and I remember I once, like, just out of pure curiosity, not that I actually believed any of it, watched like one of these like YouTube conspiracy videos about how, you know, you could tell by the noses that clearly he was replaced and I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, that's the exact same person. Like I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but all right.
Remember, we live in a world where some people still think the Earth is flat, so
yeah,
you know.
Yep.
The art looks fantastic, by the way.
Definitely. Yeah, like the painted look of it.
So, you know, I remember Jamie D always loved the graphic novel, The Fifth Beatle. I finally read that a couple years ago. I mentioned it on the air when I did, but that was magnificent. About, you know, Brian Epstein, the Beatles' ill-fated manager. So, I'm looking forward to this. Now, the next page. So, unprecedented. So, Kieran Dwyer. Collection of satirical cartoons. So, if you're a supporter of President Trump, but you haven't gone all the way and you still retain, you know, the ability to appreciate satire on all sides of the political spectrum, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this. If you have gone all the way, and you're probably going to find this offensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoying the few cartoons they're showing here on pages 58 and 59. So,
old school political commentary humor. Yeah.
I mean, every politician, as far as I'm concerned, deserves to be ridiculed, regardless whether it's the right or the left, whether you support them or not. Because if a politician advances beyond satire, I find that a very dangerous situation. So, Mr. Dwyer, by all means, continue.
See Joe Biden and some of the weird stuff he said this week. Anyway.
Oh, Biden, you can't even make that stuff up. It's just. Well, I mean, unless he does well in South Carolina, I don't think Joe will be around for much longer. But we'll see how that plays out. All right, what else we got here in Image?
Merge, you got anything?
Not really. Nothing that's not a continuation of an arc or a series.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I have to check every month in the S section. It's not there yet.
What? Whatever do you mean, Chris?
Yeah,
what could you possibly be referring to?
But I'm patient because I know it'll return eventually.
Oh, you know it'll be on the front page of previews when it returns. I mean, there's no way you're going to miss it. They're going to have a splash page. They're going to have preview pages. It'll be a welcoming return.
Yes.
I'll throw out that issue 5 of 5 of Greg Rucka's The Old Guard slide is coming out this month on page 75. So anybody who's been waiting to see that finished and collected, a trade will be forthcoming.
And that's going to be on Netflix, I think.
I believe so. Yes. And
Charlize Theron is the. It's Netflix is the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see that. I want to point out on page, it's not a page number. It's right before the Dark Horse section. So I read about this in the last issue of Criminal. Brubaker and Phillips' next work is just called Pulp, May 2020, and it incorporates a pulp Western character. What else needs to be said? Look at. I mean, when I see those two names, I buy without hesitation, without worrying, without inquiring. But the fact they're doing something with a Western theme. Although I think it's kind of a story within a story type of thing, if I remember correctly from Brubaker's comments in the Criminal back pages. But look at that artwork by Phillips. Oh,
I might just be on board for that too.
Ooh, Murd, I'd love to discuss it with you. Wonderful. All right, Dark Horse.
Dark Horse it is. And we start off with page 86, Spy Island, a Bermuda Triangle mystery. So anybody's looking for a good mystery, this might be up your alley. Chelsea Kane is the writer with Elise McCall on art. Rachel Rosenberg did the cover there. Very haunting cover with the skull in the background. But super.
That's a great cover.
Oh, amazing!
Classic paperback art.
Stationed on a tropical island, and her mission is to keep an eye on things. Her problem: the island is on the lip of the Bermuda Triangle, where anything can happen. Her other problem: this particular island is a den of intrigue, populated by spies, tourists, and even villains set on global domination. Sounds like fun people.
Sure does. All right, the next page. Wow. The Last Night of St. Hagen, a World War II thriller and the beginnings of Nazi-occupied Poland. First of all, the writer is Mike Mignola, co-writer, and artist Andrea Moody, in immediately. A wily Polish spy pursued by a group of Nazi enforcers flees to the small town of Torun. The year is 1939, the beginning of the German occupation, and he carries important information for the resistance. A bullet, a tomb, and a ghost, perhaps even God, have their own plans for the spy, and they will involve the mythical Crusader knight St. Hagen. Oh, I can't wait to try this. Anybody who knows any of the basic history of World War II knows that few countries suffered as much in that conflict as Poland did. And I'm interested to see how they address that here. All right.
And then very, very next there, for anybody who's a fan of Alien, just in time for Alien Day, April 26, 2020, an adaptation of the original screenplay for the movie Alien. So it'll be a little bit different than what we knew. But I guess sort of similar to the way they did.
So how dramatically different is it from the movie? Do you know, Ian? Or
I have no idea.
Okay.
It. It's just it's obviously things change from original screenplay to shooting script.
Sure.
So I'm sure there'll probably be some things in here that are a little bit different, if not entirely different. But I'm thinking back to like when they did the George Lucas miniseries based on Lucas's original script for Star Wars.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah. And this one's by Dan O'Bannon, the author of Mobius's The Long Tomorrow, co-writer of Total Recall, writer-director of Return of the Living Dead. That's the original writer, and this is Cristiano Sextus's adaptation of said script.
Total Recall as in the film screenplay?
Yes, I believe so.
Screw you! Okay, sorry, I couldn't help myself. Had to do a little Bad Arnold there for a minute. Get your ass to Mars. Okay, anyway.
It's Tatsuma.
That was Kindergarten Cop, but we'll allow that because,
I'm sorry.
It's one of the timeless Arnold quotes. All right, the next page is really exciting. Another Black Hammer spinoff. Colonel Weird, Cosmagog. Beautiful art by Tyler Crook. Oh, that is gorgeous. Again, anyone who loves Golden Age books but wants to see an edgy riff on that genre, you've got to read Black Hammer. It is consistently superb. There's the anti-god, which is the Kirby-esque cosmic malevolent entity they have to battle. Great stuff. By the way, the next page, I read the first issue of Skull Digger and Skeleton Boy, which is another Black Hammer spinoff. I haven't read 2 yet. Really good. Clearly a very, very dark take on like the 80s vigilante like archetype in comics of that time. As in, you get the sense that so they're really going to explore what happens to a kid when he's made like the the sidekick of someone who's clearly psychologically disturbed. It's the first issue was great. So let me hear it again. So I recommend that. Haven't gotten X-Ray Robot 1 yet, but we're looking forward to reading that one.
Very good.
Yeah. What else in Dark Horse, brothers?
Well, the deluxe edition of Umbrella Academy Volume 2 Dallas is being collected on page 95. So if you want something that will look amazing on your shelf, just Gabriel Ba's artwork is enough to do that. But for it to be this huge, oversized deluxe edition hardcover, that'll do it for you in spades. So yeah, if you haven't read or you have read Umbrella Academy and you just want it nice and shiny, this is the way to do it.
Are they doing another season of that show?
They are.
Okay.
Coming, I think, mid-year, if I remember correctly.
That reminds me, I saw Lock and Key dropped on Netflix.
Yep. Yeah, I've got it queued up, ready to roll.
Okay.
Today I watched RuPaul's new show on Netflix, and that was actually pretty interesting. So that was my watching all day.
Against Hope on page 99. So the Polar creator Victor Santos, which is also a Netflix movie I haven't watched yet. It has been years since an insane family of neo-Nazis murdered her boyfriend and almost killed Hope. Now she is tracking them down and exacting her bloody revenge. Always enjoy a good revenge story.
I got something on page 101. The name Levitz. Unfinished Business by Paul Levitz and Simon Fraser on art and cover. It's a hardcover collecting the entire story here of Unfinished Business was about a priest, a minister, and a rabbi walk into a bar, except they're all dead. So that has me very, very interested.
Yep, and it's not a zombie apocalypse story, which actually retains my attention that much longer at this point.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Always
nice to see Paul Levitt's name on anything.
Definitely.
Oh, he's one of the legends of the industry, creatively and editorially.
Uh-huh.
As soon as this comes out in softcover, it'll get a second look from me.
I'm good with Dark Horse. What else do you guys got for it?
Well, page 104, I'll bring up for any of the video game fans out there. One of the most striking video game series that's come out in the last 20 years, I'd say, is The Last of Us, and this is the art of Last of Us 2, and just the amazing like post-apocalyptic scopes that they and landscapes that they created for this game are breathtaking, and to see them in their original art form for anybody who's a fan of the series, this is worth picking up if you're willing to spend the cheddar on it. It's $40, so I'm sure it'll be discounted in multiple places. But Last of Us Part 2 hardcover and deluxe hardcover available for any of you video game fans out there.
All right. Ian, we always appreciate you giving those recommendations on books based on other media that Murd and I wouldn't be familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. That's what I do.
Murd, you got anything else for Dark Horse?
One more thing. On page 115.
Let's hear it.
A new paperback edition of a series called Bandette, produced by the husband and wife team of Paul Tobin and Colleen Coover, who also gave us Banana Sunday about a girl and her apes. This one is about a gentle girl thief who is the internationally renowned burglar, art thief, gem thief, you name it, working in Europe. Apparently she's getting on the wrong side of the Belgian police and the criminal underworld at the same time. I know it's a favorite of Bill Dowdy, known to forumites as Library Boy. I think Eric Nolan Wethington would probably have a couple of nice things to say about it as well. And I've never tried Bandette, and I think I'm going to take this opportunity to pick up this trade and give it a try. It's won multiple Eisner Awards.
Excellent.
All right, let's move on to DC then.
DC it is. And
All right.
I think before we even get into DC, just to mention real quick that we got to hear Bill Finger's name on a Academy Awards show. So major props for actually recognizing the full creators of the Joker in the in the show itself. And
I didn't see that. Did Joaquin Phoenix say that?
No. When they were giving the credits for Joker when it was nominated for whatever it was nominated for.
Yeah.
They mentioned Bill Finger and as one of the creators.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that.
Jerry Robinson as well? I didn't hear that part.
They may have. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I know that they, when I think when the first award was coming up, they won for best soundtrack. I think they just said something along the lines of like, Joker, comes from the series Batman, which was originally created by, and then they went into the original creators of Batman. So that's not sure if they actually said everybody. They should have, but I'm not sure if they did. And the fact that Joaquin Phoenix won for Joker, that means that two Jokers have won for best.
Yep. Well, it speaks to the richness of the character's history, and just that's sort of like that canvas that a great actor can do so much with. So,
Yep.
but I'm really, I've always, ever since I've been on this show, I've always made clear how little I think of Batman's other co-creator.
Yeah.
And how I was always very dismayed by how Bill Finger met his end and how he was, not given the credit he deserved. So that's great to hear.
And if you haven't watched the documentary on Hulu, I would definitely recommend doing so on Bill Finger's life. I learned a lot from that.
I didn't even know that was on there. I'll check that out as soon as possible, Ian. Thank you.
I knew about Bob Kane for years, but this was all about Bill Finger's life and how he how they went about getting him the credit he so deserved on the franchise.
I'll watch that as soon as I can.
Speaking of the Joker, we start out there. Joker at 80th anniversary, 100-page super spectacular numero uno, as I like to say, written by everybody and art by everybody.
Yep, it's a series of reprints, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Yep. Prestige format, one shot.
The next page we have the same format for Catwoman.
Yep. Yeah.
That reminds me, it's one thing I want to reread. I don't own it, and I have to pick it up. Brubaker's Catwoman run is one of the all-time greats.
Oh, yeah.
I believe Darwin Cook did the art on some of it originally, and then you had a host of other great artists to follow. I think Cameron Stewart might be one of the artists in that series, if I remember correctly. Yes, he was. I see his name here. That series is tremendous. Paul Galassi did some work on it later on as well. For me, it's the definitive Catwoman, that series. So I highly recommend that.
And gave us the one of the best costumes for Catwoman.
Yes. All right. Well, on page there's no page number. Page 5. Again, I'm still waiting for Strange Adventures #1 by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. I cannot wait. And Evan Doc Shaner. I'm so excited to read this book. We talked about it last month, but what else you guys got?
I'm happy to see the return of Checkmate as a concept to the pages of DC Comics on page 3. Event Leviathan Checkmate #1. As it looks like Green Arrow is involved with Checkmate and as they take on Leviathan, and of course written by Bendis, art and cover by Alex Maleev. Like, come on,
that's quite a team. I love the Rucka Checkmate stories.
Oh yeah.
Those were fantastic.
They were. Yep, they're definitely one of my favorites, as was the Judd Winnick Outsiders series around the same time.
That's right.
So this looks like it's going to be spinning out of this 2019's Event Leviathan miniseries.
Correct.
Probably a good idea to check that out before you check this out.
Yeah, I may not. I may just go right in. And hopefully I won't be that confused.
I love when Ian gets bold and just dives right into the deep end.
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Speaking of the deep end, on page 12, you brought me The Ocean. Alex Sanchez writing, art by Julie Moreau. Forgive me if I mispronounced that name. It's a DC graphic novel for young adults. I like how DC's doing this whole line of young adult graphic novels.
And right above that, another one for younger audiences is Primer, which is a brand new superhero that uses an array of magical paints to make her mark on the world. Love the design of the character, and
yeah,
the art just looks striking and fun and energetic, and that's what I like to see. And it's Jennifer Murrow and Thomas Krajewski on the writing, and art and cover by Gretel Lusky.
We got another young adult graphic novel on page 14, Wonder Woman, Tempest Tossed, written by Laurie Halsey Anderson, art by Leila Del Duca.
Again, gorgeous art.
Yeah, really nice.
Yep. And they make the cover really look like one of those paperbacks you'd see in the supermarket checkout aisle.
Ian. God, I'm glad you're here. Levinstein lives.
You do.
What else you got for DC, Murd?
Actually buying surprisingly little from DC this month. Okay, page 33. In the middle of Robert Venditti's Hawkman run, issue number 23, we've got a past lives story, to borrow James Robinson's phrase. One of Prince Khufu, Carter Hall, etc.'s past incarnations. The Plague Doctor, who...
Ooh, I love when they do stories like this with Hawkman.
Yep, this is at least somewhat historically grounded, it appears. As the Plague Doctor, the eternal soul of Hawkman roamed 17th century Europe in the midst of what I guess is a resurgence of the Black Death, since, after all, the main pandemic took place a couple centuries earlier than that. But this is 17th century Europe, and he wears one of those bird beak-shaped plague masks that the plague doctors of the earlier outbreak tended to wear. And he also wields the trademark spiked mace, just because. So, yeah, this is happening in the middle of all this DC infected stuff that's been going on. In the present day, Hawkman is being possessed by the Sky Tyrant, who I guess is the dark multiverse analog of himself. But this is kind of taking a break from that and allowing Hawkman's mind to race back to this particular one of his past lives. So Robert Venditti with art by Marcio Takara and Fernando Passarin.
Now, Murd, or have one of you read this series?
I've read a little bit of it. I know Murd's probably read a little bit more than I have.
A little bit, but not too much, I don't think. I've been dipping in and out.
And you both have enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, because it does a good job of dealing with the past lives.
Which I love. What I'm getting in the habit of doing now is that I'm going more to the library now because I just can't afford to buy a ton of trades, but I want to keep reading new stuff, and I'm just going to the library. And like that's where I got Monstrous from, for example, Ian. Mm-hmm. Just getting stuff out of because my library system where I live is superb. So
yeah,
a lot of the stuff I can get in the library. By the way, I meant to ask Ian the opposite page. Harley Quinn: The Birds of Prey. Did you see the movie?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay.
I will definitely have seen it probably by the next time we speak.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to get out this weekend, but I'm hoping to see it by the end of next weekend.
All right.
Yeah, I've heard very positive things, so that's the reason why I'm running out there, because I wasn't that big a fan of Suicide Squad, but this is, may have been one of the reasons why it didn't do so well at the box office this weekend, all things considered, but it's global gross is saving it right now.
Well, I look forward to your field report.
Yep. Right, jumping back a couple pages to page 30, just a quick throw out here since it's the middle of an arc. But the fact that Green Lantern Season 2, Number 3 has Hal Jordan re-enlisted into the Air Force sounds like a pretty cool concept. Yeah. Air Force General Herc Stone re-enlists Highball Jordan for a mission to locate his missing pilots, including Hal's ex-cowgirl. Jordan discovers an alien presence more dangerous than any stormy relationship.
I wanted to point out, I'm jumping ahead to page 46. This weekend I read the first issue of The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage by Jeff Lemire, art by the legendary Dennis Cohen and Bill Sienkiewicz. I really enjoyed it. It's an interesting take on the question. It also weaves Richard Dragon into the story. And it's kind of challenging a bit the Question's sort of black and white view of things and how he goes about his adventures and his alternate life as in this case as a television journalist. I really revere Ditko's work. I do not agree with or sympathize with his objectivist philosophy, nor do I even think that it's grounded in reality. But I'm interested to see what they're doing with the character here, because I've always been intrigued by the Question. I've only read a little bit of the character, but this first issue of this miniseries really, really struck me.
Now, does it lean heavily upon the Question being a mythical character himself, or is he just involved with mythicism?
Based on the first issue, Ian, it looks like they may be leaning towards the former.
Okay.
Again, I've only read the first issue, but there's some elements of the plot lead you to believe that it might be geared towards the former of what you said. All right. We'll see, but I dug it.
Fair enough.
What else for DC, J Brothers?
Page 40 introduces to the Legion of Superheroes Gold Lantern, Monster Boy, Dr. Fate as members of Legion of the Superheroes. So I would love to know what the heck Gold Lantern is. and hopefully the pages of Legion of Superheroes will tell me so.
I think Morrison introduced a Golden Lantern character from a parallel universe sometime during 2019. Something tells me this character has nothing at all to do with that.
You're probably right.
Yeah. And, these are some neat ideas that Bendis is throwing against the wall. But again, the complaint I keep registering about this Legion series is I don't want it to be too closely tied to the goings-on in superheroics in the 21st century. I don't want this to be Justice League 3000. We've already had that. The Legion is the Legion and should remain so. So I don't want him cluttering it up with too many other legacy characters.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'm jumping ahead a bit because the images struck me. On page 56, Ian, are you reading the Terrifics?
No, I'm not. I think I have at least like 2 or 3 volumes that I bought through Comixology sales, but I haven't gotten a chance to.
Okay, because the cover it's a fantastic retro cover. On this is on page 56, the Terrifics number 27.
Let's see. Oh yeah! Wow. Ooh, that
is a great cover.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is Gene Wen Yang writing the series still. So that's plus it's got the Tom Strong and his family involved.
Yep. But I feel like I'm back in the Bronze early Copper Age looking at that cover. That is a beautiful cover.
Yeah, that's really pretty.
All right, what have we heard about Wonder Woman Dead Earth? Because it's getting some real accolades here on the copy page. Anybody read this?
No. I have not. But I'm certainly looking to now. It sort of looks like, it reminds me a little bit of some of the, if not Kingdom Come, then at least like Batman Year 100 and stuff like that, where set in the far future and dealing with characters that we already know.
That's a very striking cover image, though. There.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Daniel Warren Johnson writing and art.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick it up when it's all collected. That looks damn pretty.
Let's see what else we got here. I jumped way ahead, so anybody wants to jump back, please feel free.
Oh, that's fine. Looks like we're crossing over with Action Comics in Young Justice on page 60, as it's Young Justice versus Star Labs, and what happens when a universe reboots right under you. Connor is about to find out.
And great importance that co-written by David Walker.
Yes.
Wow.
That's something. I wonder if that means he's going to be taking over at some point, or whether he's just helping out Bendis. Well,
this is a series I got to jump in on trade because I only read issue 1, but I'm going to get the trades. But I'm a huge Walker fan. Everything he's done in recent years. I talked about Bitter Root in our last episode, so that's exciting.
I'm so glad to have characters like Young Justice actually remember, what once was. It's making me happy. I don't know. It's just it further ties to what came before. New 52.
Now, when you say they remember, that means they remember the DC universe before the New 52.
That's what has been heavily implied. Yeah, they haven't full details yet, but essentially the version of Superboy that you see here is indeed our original version of Connor Kent. And basically because he exists, that's enough of a tether to remind everybody that Young Justice happened. And that's basically how the team winds up, becoming a team and remembering things in the first place.
So in the story, you don't have to go into too much detail, but do they explain like how he gets back to them and where he was and all of that? Or okay.
The entire Gem World arc ties into how Connor got where he did and exactly how he disappeared in the first place. So
I look forward to reading it.
You'll get those within the first 6 issues.
Oh, great!
Yep.
Because I know at least one trade is already out. So
it is, yeah. And I think volume 2 is pretty close to solicitation since this is issue 15. So if it hasn't been solicited, it will be soon.
Check out page 93 for your answer.
Well, there.
Good old Murd.
Right on, Murd. Right on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gentlemen. What else want to look at here?
Don't really have anything in the Joe Hill section at the moment. Books of Magic continues as does the Dreaming, and I think I'm pretty much in the facsimile editions right now. And I'll bring up that I guess as part of the celebration of Catwoman and Joker, they have facsimile editions of DC Superstars number 17, and in introducing the debut of Huntress, and Detective Comics 475, which is The Joker, one of the Joker fish story is.
It's Marshall Englehart and Rogers, classic stuff.
Oh yeah, yep. So looking forward to those being back on the shelves, and I do dig the fact that they reprint the ads and everything. That's
yeah.
That affects similes.
And I mentioned on the next page, that's one of the Brubaker Catwoman run. Here's for $1, Catwoman #1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, Brubaker, Cook, and Allred. I mean,
yep.
You know,
and they're reprinting Checkmate #1 since we mentioned that before.
Oh yeah, that was an excellent series.
Oh yeah,
excellent. In fact, I just Jesus Saiz. I think he's the new artist on Star Wars.
Ah.
I think he is, and if he is, his art is as amazing as ever. I'll talk about the book a little bit when we get to the Marvel section.
Yep. I'll point out on page 77 the Crisis on Infinite Earths Arrowverse Deluxe Edition, collecting together all of the Crisis on Infinite Earths stuff that I guess was in that 100-page Giants collections, all into one package. So you'll get Crisis on Infinite Earths Giant #1 and 2. And a monitor's worth of behind-the-scenes extras.
Okay, I have a question on page 79. So Doomsday Clock is done, right?
Yes, it is. Thank God.
Okay, so this is they've done a part 1 hardcover. This is part 2, and that collects the whole thing.
Yes, it does, because they like taking your money.
Okay, I'm just going to wait for the inevitable 1 volume. I want to read it, because I only read the first couple issues.
Yeah, no, I'm refusing to buy anything until we actually get a full 12 issues, because that's just nickel and diming people. It's not cool.
I just don't buy it. That's all.
Exactly. I buy it digitally. Anything.
Page 80. I always like to see when they do tributes to Sergeant Rock, one of the all-time great war comic characters, and I mean DC has always been one of the leaders in war comics. This collects a lot of his classic stories. I mean, Robert Kanigher was a key Sergeant Rock writer. You got stuff by Joe Simon, Kirby, Ennis, Will Eisner. Christ, amazing. Joe Kubert, Joe Simon, Jack Kirby, Toth, Guedera, Russ Heath. I mean, that's great stuff right there. So, highest recommendation. It's DC Goes to War, so it's not just Sergeant Rock. I apologize, I misspoke there. It's a variety of classic. They got Enemy Ace in here, Army at War, Boy Commandos, Weird War Tales, GI Combat, which is the Haunted Tank. It's all great stuff. So,
and the Losers Special #1, which is a special Crisis crossover.
Yes, it is. Bird, fantastic. Yeah, that's Kirby. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say if that's Kirby or not. I misspoke. I don't think he actually did that one.
No, he didn't do the special.
No, he did not.
It was written by Kanigher. I know that. I'm less sure about who did the artwork.
Yeah. Have either of you read the Martian Manhunter Identity series that's being collected on page 83?
I have not.
Let me take a look. I have not.
Okay, because it's Steve Orlando, so that immediately caught my eye there. It's all 12 issues of it, plus a gallery of behind-the-scenes extras, as usual.
When did this series originally publish?
I feel like it's somewhat recent. I'll have to double check that.
Because I always found the Martian Manhunter a very compelling character, especially when they explore, his ties to Mars and how that haunts him, and him trying to fit in. And so this might be a lot like a book I got in the library, for example.
Yeah. Looking it up, actually, the series started in 2018, so yeah, it is very recent.
I wanted to mention page 84, and I was remiss because I got the OGN when it came out some months ago. 6 Days, The Incredible Story of the D-Day's Lost Chapter. This is wonderful. It's based on a true story written by Robert Venditti, Kevin Moore, and art by Andrea Moody. It's about some U.S. paratroopers. So when D-Day happened, the night before, they dropped thousands of paratroopers behind German lines to try to seize key road junctions, bridges, etc., to pave the way for the forces advancing from the beachhead. And this group of paratroopers are dropped. It was a misdrop, so they're further behind German lines than they were supposed to be, and they take shelter with some French villagers who try to help them, and German troops assault the village. It was really well done, so I recommend that. Excellent war comic. Stargirl by Jeff Johns, trade paperback on page 86.
Was just going to say that myself. Yep.
Yeah.
Happy to see that being collected. It's first 14 issues of the Stars and Stripes series, plus JSA All Stars #4 and stories from DCU Heroes Secret Files. For a while, this was out of print, so I guess not I guess, but because the series is starting over at the CW and the DC Universe app, it's a good reason to put it back in print.
Well, not as good a reason as the simple fact that it's a very good book. It's an underrated series. It's all ages appropriate. It was one of the first things Jeff Johns wrote in comics.
Yep.
And it's got ties to Golden Age history, and it's just good fun.
Agreed on all accounts.
I'm good for DC. You guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's it for me as well.
Mert?
Yep, I'm set for IDW if you are.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, and yes, it was page 93, by the way. Young Justice,
Yes.
Volume 2, Lost in the Multiverse. Read it. Okay, I'm back.
In softcover, I will.
Okay, I'm on page 130, but if you guys want to go first for something prior to that, please feel free now.
My Little Pony Season 10 drops on page 128. Yep, it's this long-running series up to issue 89. It's one of the biggest and most surprising successes at IDW in the publisher's history. Still going strong, and now they're going to start telling stories that pick up where the series finale left off. So I'm still on board for that.
I like the funky cover for that issue.
All right, that's Andy Price, the original series artist. Been around since the first issue when Katie Cook was still the regular writer.
Oh, wow.
I'm so happy that, it started becoming a thing with Buffy and Angel and what have you, but just the idea of doing, new seasons of shows that were
it's great.
canceled. It's just such a great idea for comics.
Especially can bring more people into the medium. So
Agreed, yeah. 123, I'll mention real quick, just because it's a Stephen King concept. Stephen King and Owen King's Sleeping Beauties. That's being written by Rio Yoers and art by Allison Sampson. Based on a horror novel by Stephen and Owen King and adapted by Rio Yoers. It's about a strange sleeping sickness known as Aurora that has fallen over the world. And strangest of all, it only affects women. And in the small town of Dooling, I wonder why it took place there, a mysterious woman has walked out of the woods. She calls herself Eve and leaves a trail of carnage behind her. More mysterious, she's the only one unaffected by the sleeping sickness. So it's like X the Last Girl.
Is Owen King his son? Who is that?
I believe so.
Okay. Have you read the novel?
No, I haven't, but
Okay.
I'm certainly intrigued and want to read it now.
All right, I wanted to point out on page 130. So, I'm a longtime Star Trek fan. We've talked about that many times in the show.
Yes.
Every time the Tipton brothers write a Star Trek comic, I don't even hesitate. I order it. And they're now writing a story of my favorite show, which is Deep Space Nine. And it focuses on one of the best characters, Odo. And I wanted to point out, I was remiss in last comic talk. The great character actor who played Odo passed away.
René
At the
Auberjonois.
end.
Yeah.
Again, Mert?
René Auberjonois.
I was counting on you to pronounce the name properly because I know I was going to butcher it. He was in Benson. He was in tons of movies. He's a very well-known character actor, but his performance as Odo, always compelling, always haunting in many ways, and poignant. And I'm so thrilled to see they're going to take on the Deep Space Nine characters here with the Tipton magic. So really excited to read that on page 130.
If you have not seen What We Left Behind, looking back at Star Trek,
Oh, I want to get that. Oh,
it's magical. They in the course of the documentary, the writers gather together in a room and theorize
what would have happened, right?
what would have happened in the very next episode after everything ended.
Now, is that can you only get that on DVD?
You can, I believe it's streaming for rental. If
Amazon?
I'm
Okay,
gonna check right now to see whether it's available for rental or purchase.
because I really want to see that.
Yep, Prime Video has it as a rental. Yep.
Because I think, except for Avery Brooks, everyone comes back to talk, right?
Exactly, and you can actually sort of blame Shatner for Avery Brooks not coming back, because the documentary that Shatner did on the captains
Yeah.
Brooks was not very happy with the way he was painted in that, and has since decided not to really partake in any documentaries.
Wait, I've never seen that. What happened?
He picked some really zany quotes from Avery Brooks, and it kind of paints him to be a little bit loony. Which what I've heard he kind of is at times, but
Okay.
But yeah, he wasn't too thrilled about that.
Okay. I'll have to, I've never seen the Captains. I mean, I've know of it, but all right.
They use file footage for Avery though, so they do actually include some interviews with him that have been done in the past. I like
In the past.
have you.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right. What else for IDW, brothers?
Page 131, Star Trek Picard countdown. Since we're talking about Star Trek, might as well do this because I saw some preview artwork from it, and I've heard some reviews about it, and it looks like it's really damn good. And I want to know what happened before the series of Picard started, and this is going to be a good way to do so. It's co-written by Kristen Beyer, who works on the show, and Mike Johnson, and amazing art by Angel Hernandez. So yeah, I'm completely in. I got to read this when I got to read this collection 100%. Available in June. It's gonna be in my hands.
Let's see here.
Plus the cover for Star Trek Year 5 yet again.
Oh, it's so good.
The
Oh my
best
God.
covers in comics are coming from Star Trek Year 5.
Yeah, they really are amazing. That it's design sense. That they incorporate the Klingon sigil there.
Yep.
Wow, I'm looking forward to they haven't come out yet, but the Spock Valentine one shot that we talked about, and the J.M. DeMatteis one shot with Khan. So,
Yep.
let's do Star Trek again on page 142. George Takei, They Called Us Enemy, the expanded edition of his memoir that he co-wrote about his time in the Japanese internment camps when he was a child during World War II.
Yeah.
I've heard this is wonderful. I have not read it yet myself. Very important period of our history that was egregiously shameful. It's always, there's always those moments where in our country you see that tension between the anxiety that comes out of security and liberty, and how that tension tends to work itself out, often, unfortunately, too far to the side of security. So this is something I definitely want to read.
Yeah, I saw Allegiance when it was on Broadway with George Takei, and that was
the play that was about internment, was it not?
Yes, it was. Yeah, and it was outstanding, and I'm glad to see yet another piece of material from George Takei, from his own experience.
Fantastic. And how about on the next page, Tiananmen 1989, Our Shattered Hopes. So the writer, I'm going to mispronounce. I'm sorry, Lun Zhang. Or Zhang, he survived the massacre, and yes, it was a massacre, regardless of what the Chinese government tries to say. When you run people over with tanks, it's a freaking massacre. And I'm not talking about Tank Man; he wasn't run over, but they were gunning people down and so forth on that square. But this looks like a really compelling. I like the artwork quite a bit. His memories of Tiananmen and what it means to him, and tying that into the present day. And just looking at the event from various perspectives in China. I may get this as well.
I'll point out on page 149, the collected edition of Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid saga continues, Johnny's story. Where is Johnny really the good guy? And that's the question right there.
Did you watch the show? I haven't seen it.
I have not. I
Okay.
keep meaning to, and I keep forgetting about it. But it's a YouTube original, and I'm pretty sure the first season is free now, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I will watch it at some point.
Yeah, because I love the concept.
Yeah. Basically, the entire concept spawning from an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. What else do we got for IDW?
Collected edition of Ghostbusters Year 1 on page 151. I know we mentioned the original offering of that once upon a time, and the collection will be available in June.
Page 160, EC Covers Artist Edition. Oh, wow. Breathtaking. One of the greatest eras in the history of the American comic book. That's me saying that, not the copy. Listen to these names. I'm getting palpitations. Wally Wood, Harvey Kurtzman, Graham Ingalls, Johnny Craig, Al Williamson, Frank Frazetta, Jack Davis, Al Feldstein. Man. Pre-code, ladies and gentlemen, pre-code.
I think it's worth pointing out as well on page 158 and 159 that IDW is now publishing a bunch of their graphic novels in Spanish.
Oh, that's great.
So the aforementioned George Takei graphic novel is coming out in Spanish, as well as Red Panda and Moon Bear and Sonic the Hedgehog are all being released in Spanish.
All right, you guys ready for Marvel?
Yeah, I'm ready for Marvel.
Sure
Mert?
thing.
All right, so I have to say, for the most part, I've sworn off crossover events, but I am going to try the first couple issues of Is it MP or Empire?
I think it's just
It's
Empire.
probably Empire.
Okay,
It's like pyre as in funeral pyre.
gotcha,
Yes.
gotcha.
Portmanteaued with Empire.
But I'm going to do it because it's Al Ewing and Dan Slott writing. And they're exploring a character I've always found intriguing, the Hulkling character from Young Avengers, who I believe is the son of Captain Marvel and a Kree woman?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Captain Marvel and a
Or Captain
Skrull.
Marvel. Skrullman, I'm sorry. Captain Marvel. Forgive me. Yeah, Skrullman, of course. Because, did you guys read Young Avengers?
Oh, yeah. That's
So good. That series was fantastic.
every version of Young Avengers was
Yeah.
excellent.
And the Children's Crusade was great.
Yeah.
All great stuff.
Gillen's run on Young Avengers as well with McKelvey. Was
Yep.
Fantastic.
So I'm gonna at least try this. You guys gonna try this or no?
I might give it a go. Yeah. I mean, I may wait until Unlimited, but I'll give it a shot. I mean,
I'm not gonna get into any of the crossovers. That's too much. But
yeah. I mean, the fact that Empire #0, Fantastic Four is Slot with RB Silva on art does intrigue me a little bit there.
Murd, on page 10, is that the Kotati version of the Swordsman?
Just wait until I can find page 10. Again, they're
Sorry.
not being very forthcoming with their numbering. There's an excellent chance that is who that is. Or it could be, well, there are a few different green-skinned individuals on this page, but it could be. It could be.
Well, it says here, in the new green area of the moon, the Kotati are waiting with news of a terrible enemy that can wipe out both them and humanity itself. The celestial Messiah has returned.
Interesting to see Hulkling crouched, prepared for action there with the other heroes when he's kind of at the center of this invasion.
Well, he's leader now of a combined Kree and Skrull Empire, right?
Yes.
That's the premise.
Yeah, I saw it it was in the incoming one shot that Marvel did a little
Yeah.
while ago. He proclaimed himself Emperor Dorek VIII of the Skrull Empire. And his first act as emperor was to ally the Skrull and Kree empires into a single force and declare that they need to go and invade Earth.
And who was his mother? I don't remember the Skrull who was his mother.
I'm afraid I can't tell you. I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't read Young Avengers yet. It's still in my future.
Okay. The time bubble.
I mean, I know that he had, that he had a relationship with Scarlet Witch's son.
Well, actually, it says here, I'm looking on page 14, Ian, The Lords of Empire, Emperor Hulkling #1, written by Chip Zdarsky, co-writer. That's important. It says it's going to answer the question, what happened to Wicked?
Okay,
So I may pick that one up, too.
that's good to know. Yeah. And hey, the Empire Avengers #1 is written by Jim Zub, so that's nothing to sneeze at too.
All right.
I think it might actually be Princess Anel. Remember her? She was the daughter of Dorek VII. She was seen in the original Kree Skrull War story.
Oh, and did she die in that, though?
I don't think she died in that
No?
story, but she may
Okay.
have. I think she did ultimately die years later.
Yeah.
After-
But you're right, because I think they did establish an attraction between her and Marvel in that original story, if I remember correctly. So,
On page 17, Dan Slott and Sean Isaacs' Fantastic Four #21, which is an Empire tie-in. I love the look of Spider-Man in that all blue and black Fantastic Four outfit. That is a complete change of pace, and I'm down for it.
hold on, I'm trying to find the page.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is striking. Wow.
Yeah, I'd almost rather they just go the original new Fantastic Four route and let them keep their normal costumes. But I agree with you, Ian. Those designs it's a cool enough color scheme. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. Although part of me also wishes he had gone back to his Future Foundation outfit, which I've always been a fan of.
The Future Foundation. Yep.
Yeah.
That was fun. I'm jumping ahead because it's so striking. On page 2627, Black Widow #1. Kelly Thompson writing. Look at that cover. God, by Adam Hughes. Oh, beautiful.
I've got on page 22. The Champions are back, and the Champions, over the past couple of years, have really become like the Teen Titans of Marvel Universe. And they're continuing that here with the younger version of Nova, plus Miles and Power Pack and a bunch of others included. And this is Eve Ewing writing with Simone DeMeo on art. Previous series got canceled a little while ago. Now they're giving it another go, and I'm all for it. Honestly, I love that we get a youthful team running around the Marvel universe.
Yeah, it's a long way from the 1970s champions. So,
absolutely, yeah.
Mert, I want to point out a favorite writer of yours is getting some work on page 29. Devin Grayson.
Yep, I was going to bring that up, actually. This is a one-shot tie-in to the upcoming Black Widow movie. It's called Widowmakers, Red Guardian, and Yelena Belova, which is a character that Devin Grayson co-created in the early 2000s, who was supposed to be the replacement Black Widow. And now here she is. She's active again, and she's got Alexei Shostakov, the original Red Guardian, at her side, who also appears in the movie. So this is going to be a pretty cool creative team here. Michelle Bandini's doing the artwork. I'm definitely going to buy this one-shot.
And if you want to catch up on Black Widow history, if I may so humbly say, listen to our Black Widow Spotlight. But more importantly, pages 30 and 31, they're doing a lot of True Believer reprints here. Her first appearance of the Red Guardian, her first team up with Daredevil, her first conflict with Spider-Man, Amazing Adventures 1, her one of her appearances in the Champions, because she was on that original team where she had a romance with Hercules. When she joins the Avengers briefly in Avengers 111, Taskmaster appearing in Avengers 196, Marvel 2 and 110 with Black Widow and the Thing, and as Merd mentioned, Black Widow 1 by Grayson, and is it J.G. Jones, I think, and Yelena Belova in that issue. All great stuff.
I'm completely in on that, and I'm more and more looking forward to the Black Widow series. Show. Movie. God damn it.
Yeah, that medium. That one. Yeah,
exactly. The one that comes out on the big screen with the seats and the popcorn.
You know the one.
My anticipation for it is going up instead of down, and that's a positive.
Oh, me too. I just wish they put the Taskmaster something closer to his actual costume.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
Because I think the Taskmaster's costume is pretty frightening.
Well, just take a look at it on page 33. It's there in in all its grim, macabre glory.
Yeah.
Yep. So there will be a Taskmaster mini.
In the movie, he doesn't have the skull face, right?
He's got a helmet that's very vaguely evocative of a skull, but I guess they didn't want it to look too much like Crossbones because they've already done that.
Okay, fair enough.
It looks more like a ski mask than anything else. He kind of reminds me of Casey Jones more than he reminds me of the Taskmaster.
Yeah. By the way, quick tangent because I've been dying to ask because I forgot in our comic talk. Mm-hmm. So in the Crisis television show, was that Wild Dog I saw?
Wild Dog has been a supporting character on Arrow for some time.
Oh, has he really?
He really has been, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk about going deep into the well there. Wow, that impressed me.
They've been very eclectic with their supporting cast, and I'm down for it.
And I mean, his garb was right out of the 80s comic. Like, I was so... My jaw dropped a little bit.
It's an easy costume to get right on a TV budget.
True.
Since you mentioned the 80s, I was going to bounce back for a second and just do pages 24 and 25 in rapid fire, as the 80s and 90s in me has to mention that there's a new Power Pack miniseries and a new Warriors series, miniseries as part of the Outlawed event. Ryan North working on Power Pack.
Right. This
immediately has me interested.
Right. If you enjoyed Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, this is the same writer. This is his take on the Power Kids.
Yep. And then Daniel Kibblesmith on New Warriors, 1 of 5 as well. And our illustrious founder, Brian Deemer, will be very happy to see that Speedball is there, and he's looking pretty cool.
Deemer lives! We will be seeing Eldemir quite soon, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to point out, I'm jumping ahead a bit, so a little X-Men action here for you, Ian. First of all, page 48, God Loves Man Kills Extended Cut, 1 of 2. One of the great X-Men stories. Represented with all new pages from the creators themselves.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, and across from this, they've been doing a series of one-shots the past few months, all written by Hickman. Now, look at this team. Nightcrawler 1, art by Alan Davis. Let me say it again. Alan Davis.
Yeah, there's no way I'm not buying this one shot. This was, for the first several years of my life as a comics fan, my favorite character in all of comics. Drawn by the artist whom I saw draw him first. Teamed up with a writer who's pretty good too, I guess. And so it's 40 pages worth of that. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be a relatively self-contained story, although not entirely, because something about the Grimalkin habitat, I guess that's what's left of the original X-Mansion. One of several spots of Krakoa that exists on the planet and beyond. So it is grounded in current X continuity, in other words, which is a little concerning to me, but still, it's Nightcrawler drawn by Davis. It doesn't really matter what he's doing. I'll pay to watch.
Ian's been really praising the series. I got to catch up, so I'm looking forward to this.
And speaking of X-Men, Children of the Atom #1, written by Vita Ayala, which has me interested, and then Bernard Chang on art completely has me in, with a variant covered by the one and only Todd Nauck.
Oh,
X-Men get sidekicks. I was just talking about there, not being enough youthful teams in the Marvel Universe currently, and this is bound to be that, as it looks like they're introducing a whole set of sidekicks for the main team. So,
and you never know, Ian. Next, they might bring the X-Babies back.
You know what? If one shot, sure.
It's probably waiting in the wings, actually.
Yep. I'm looking on page 55. We talked about Black Widow before. Look at that cover.
Mm-hmm.
Dear God.
All right, before we venture too much further forward,
Please.
I wanted to throw in a mention a little while ago on page 32 and 33. Speaking of the Black Widow movie and the Taskmaster, there will be a 5-issue miniseries featuring the Taskmaster, written by Jed MacKay, who is writing the current picaresque adventures of the Black Cat in her own ongoing series, which I've been enjoying, and art by Alessandro Vitti. So I'll definitely be getting that. Taskmaster has had miniseries once or twice before. I don't intend to miss this one any more than I missed those.
Nice.
Back to you, Chris.
Sure. And I'm again Marvel's 2 on page 55. Again, these are stories. Alex Ross is providing like a framing narrative device. You've got a Dan Brereton story with the X-Men. The Thing, Spider-Man, Doctor Doom, contend for the most coveted object on the planet, and attacked by Eric Powell. Listen to this. The Vision pushes himself to the limit in order to save a life in an adventure by Paulo Rivera.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Marvel Mythos himself.
Oh, God. Jeez.
Yeah.
And look at the next. My God, Ian, look at the next page. Captain Marvel Snapshot. Written by Mark Russell and Kurt Busiek. Art by Steve Rude.
Damn.
They're going to make me go out and get another job, for God's sake. Look at all this stuff.
And one hell of a striking cover by Alex Ross as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is about the Mad Bomb. Oh, Murd! Oh.
Quite the concept.
I have to mention the very next page, on page 57, as I have mentioned Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men many times on this show as one of my favorite podcasts about comics. Jay Edidin is co-writing a one-shot for his favorite character, Cyclops.
Oh, Jay's a Cyclops fan.
Yep.
Well, happy to hear somebody out there likes poor Scott. I always have.
Oh, I've always been a big Scott fan. Absolutely.
I like Scott when he's not being whiny, and for the most part, he's been pretty okay over the past couple of years on that front.
No, given the life he's had, I think he has a right to be whiny, frankly.
Oh, I know. A lot of stuff's happened to him.
Yes. When I think back to Dark Phoenix era, the Claremont Byrne, Cockrum stuff, I thought he was a fascinating character study of him as the leader and the burden of leadership. Great stuff in the Bronze Age.
Yeah. I actually really liked Scott written by Morrison. I thought that was some of the strongest.
Yep. I agree with that.
Yep. But yeah, Jay Edidin and Kurt Busiek co-writing with Tom Riley on art. X-Men Marvel Snapshot #1.
Let's see. I just can't afford all this stuff, but again, we'll use the library. But the Doctor Doom series, I'm on page 83 by Christopher Cantwell, has been wonderful. Great art by Salvador LaRocca. Fascinating take on Doom and his place in the Marvel Universe. I don't want to give away too much, but it's fantastic. Doom would probably be offended by me saying it's fantastic, but it is.
Did you see, speaking of fantastic, did you see the gorgeous Ryan Ottley cover on page 66 of Amazing Spider-Man #43?
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
I may have missed that.
Oh, yes, featuring Gog.
Yeah.
Gog. Wait a minute.
Yep. It is striking as hell.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Nowhere near caught up on Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man, but
I haven't read one issue of it, but
yeah, I've read exactly one issue of it actually.
Look at again. I'm reading in trade now, so I'm behind. But look at the Immortal Hulk covers on page 86 and 87. Have you ever seen a more terrifying? The Leader. The Leader's a guy with a big, giant green head. Okay, it's ludicrous, but look at that image. What they're doing with this character. This is easily one of the greatest arcs in the history of the Hulk, period.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and for anybody reading Venom, the fact that Venom #25, as it finishes Venom Island, brings on Mark Bagley for art, that's pretty damn cool.
It sure is.
Sure.
And for Kevin, we have to mention on page 89, Moon Knight in the Avengers. Jason Aaron run. Mummies are rising from their graves. Secret armies march by moonlight. From Kunlun to Wakanda to Greenwich Village, a dark god invades Asgard, and the Moon Knight has been unleashed as never before. So begins the age of Khonshu. So fall the Avengers. I love melodrama.
And melodrama I see on page 81 for Doctor Strange #5. Had I not read the text, and the text says, "The Sorcerer Supreme robbed," I would have thought, "The Sorcerer Supreme goes shopping."
It's Mark Waid. I love the first issue.
Yep.
I think I'm done with floppies myself. I did want to point out on page 107. So I just got in my shipment. I just read issues 1 and 2 of the new Star Wars series by Charles Soule and art by Jesus Zayas, which is gorgeous. But fantastic because they pick up an area that's yet to be explored. What happens immediately after the end of Empire Strikes Back on the Millennium Falcon with Luke traumatized? And they go from there. And the first issue was especially tremendous. Because they really explore how haunted Luke is by this knowledge that he now possesses, and how what does it mean now for him going forward. Artwork is breathtaking. Marvel once again, because they've had the Star Wars comic type licensed back now, I think for 5 years. It's just one home run after another. So, highly recommend that.
Back in the Marvel section for 2 seconds. 103. For anybody who has ever asked the question, where do I start reading to get into Marvel Comics?
Yes.
How to Read Comics the Marvel Way, #1 by Christopher Hastings and Scott Koblish on art. The Universal Gateway to the House of Ideas. So this 4-issue mini might be a good way to let you know exactly where you should be if you want to try to get in on the ground floor of
Interesting
characters.
Or just
go ahead, Murray. I'm sorry.
It's just the basics of the visual language of comics too. So it's like Scott McCloud understanding comics type stuff. Even
exactly.
More, yeah, it's probably something about understanding the basics of the Marvel universe too. But even more basic than that, I think it's just how to read comics.
Yep.
The copy says here, if you've ever tried to hand over a comic to a non-comics reading intelligent friend and he hands it back to you saying, "I didn't know what order to read the panels," this is a solution to that problem.
Excellent word.
Although it's amusingly alarming that Mysterio might be one of the guides for this journey. But anyway.
I'm
in trades myself.
As am I. They're collecting Dan Slott's She-Hulk in an omnibus.
Oh, that's a great series. Oh,
Damn fine series. Yep. On sale July 2020. The Dan Slott and Ty Templeton written with a whole bunch of pencilers, including Paul Pelletier, Scott Collins, Paul Smith, Ron Friends, and
Howard the Duck.
Howard
He appears.
Yep.
It's yeah. I mean, the humor in that, the tips of the hat to Marvel history, both actual publishing history and within the books themselves. It's a great series.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mert, I thought of you. I don't know if this is one you read, but on page 154, Star Comics: The Secret Life of Top Dog.
I can't say that I've had the pleasure, Chris.
Okay. Meet the world's smartest, talkingest, and funniest dog. I don't remember this one on the stands. Wow, they're exploring every nook and cranny of the Star Universe, I guess. Of course, Spidey appears in it because he has to appear in everything, it says here.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
clearly.
Yeah.
It's not Wolverine. It's going to be Spider-Man.
Well done. I'm actually done with Marvel unless you guys have other trades you want to shout out.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2099 Companion, which is on page 142. If you want more info on the 2099 series that of one shots that just came out, then this will help you out with that a little bit. It's got 2099 Alpha and Omega, Conan 2099, Doom 2099, FF 2099, Ghost Rider, Punisher, Spider-Man, and Venom.
All right. Mert, anything else you got for Marvel?
The aforementioned Gillen and McKelvey run on Young Avengers is traded in its entirety on page 150. It's 15 issues plus a Marvel Now .1 issue. 360 pages, $35. Gorgeous artwork. It's quality.
Yeah, I'm glad this is back in print because for a while there it was very hard to find. It was originally in print as a hardcover, and this is the trade paperback collection of it. And yes, go out there and buy it. It's fantastic.
I nominated that for many Best of 2013 awards, as I recall.
I remember that. That's right. You got ready for Dynamite?
Yeah, let's roll.
All right. So, page 166. I'm just hitting the book now with glee. The Boys, Dear Becky, #1. Have either one of you read The Boys?
Never in my life.
Okay.
I read about half of it and then got tired of it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
My listeners know I'm a huge Innes fan. I love this series. I haven't watched the television show yet. I've heard it's very good. But this is picking up one of the most poignant plot lines of the story and a character that we only met briefly. So I'll be definitely checking this out. Ian, have you watched the television show?
Yes, I have. The first season was fantastic.
That's what I heard from some other people, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Second season is actually coming way sooner than we thought. It should be done. I think it should be ready for us by like mid-year because they were ready.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, so they must have gotten so much good buzz about the first season, they went right into production.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to point on page 169. This is one of Innes's best. Again, I've always raved about Innes's take on military stories, which I think he has no peer in that genre right now. Battlefields Volume 1. 3 great stories from the World War II era, including the story Dear Billy, which is I think one of the most poignant World War II stories I've ever seen in a comic. It's about a British nurse who survived a Japanese massacre, and how traumatized she is. I mean, how she really can't move on from it. It's devastating. But that's the battle. The whole battlefields. It's a series of them. They're tremendous, top flight historical authenticity, and great storytelling.
On page 170, they're offering Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, The Death of Nancy Drew #1. So Nancy Drew really hasn't had a comic in a while, and for her to have a comic involving her death and the two main characters are the Hardy Boys, I'm not exactly too thrilled about that.
Well, let's see if she actually dies, though, Ian.
Oh, I know. I come on. If her death is in the title, there's no way in hell she's actually dead. I just it's a little disconcerting that that's the route that they decided to go with this. However, and Anthony Del Cole has worked on some pretty good books before, so I'll trust him on this one. So we'll see where it goes.
I'm in Boomless. Anybody have anything else for Dynamite?
Nothing on my end.
Mert?
Nope, nothing here either.
So page 200, I didn't read the first volume of this, but it's Azzarello, Faithless Volume 2. Blockbuster occult sex thriller. That's definitely up my alley. But look at the Brian K. Vaughan. His testimony, the rare erotic comic that's actually hot. That's high praise from the best writer in comics, basically. So I may have to go back and get Volume 1 in trade.
Yeah, I'm hot and cold on Azzarello. So I'll probably wait to see what you think about it, Chris, and I'll go from there.
Ian, I'm honored. Okay, so let's look at page 204 for a minute. Space Bear. What is this?
It's about a space bear. I mean, it says it right there. I mean, come on. It's about a bear in space. He's flying.
It's a silent story perfect for readers of all ages about discovering the unknown and empathy for everyone we encounter, because every friendship begins with an act of kindness. I like the artwork quite a bit.
They somehow tie this into Thundercats. I'll be very happy.
Ooh, look on page 206. Buffy, Every Generation. I love when they explore, because they do this on the show sometimes, do Slayers from the past.
Yeah.
The Philippines, 1910. Wow.
Yeah, that could be pretty cool.
God, I love that show. I mean, when I think back to that period of my life, like, so much was going on, but every night, I think, was it Tuesday or Thursday? I forgot which. When Buffy was on, I was the happiest person. Like, for that hour, I was so taken with that show.
Yeah, it was definitely Tuesday, because I remember they made the joke at one point, like, oh, Dawn's in trouble. Must be Tuesday.
That's right. But the best comic book on television.
Yep. Definitely.
Let's see what else we got here. I have nothing else for Boom unless you fellas do.
Issue 5 of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mighty Morphin Power Rangers crossover comes out this month on page 212. So collection incoming on that one for the crossover you never thought you'd see unless you watched TV in the 90s.
All right, you guys ready for the rest of the book?
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
I'm definitely ready.
Page 224, very interesting, on the Ablaze imprint. Red Nails #1. So this is one of Rod Reed Howard's Conan stories. Brought to life uncensored. Discover the true Conan, unrestrained, violent, and sexual. Read the story as he intended. Huh.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
or something completely different. Page 226, Abrams comic arts, Drawing the Vote, an illustrated guide to voting in America, by Tommy Jenkins and Katie Lacker. All about voting and how to do it, pretty much. And it's and
if I may soapbox for a minute, I'm not saying which way to go. Just for pity's sake, please, everyone vote.
Yes. 100%.
Whatever your choice, just the voting turn in this country is so pathetic. Please vote. I don't care if you write in Howard the Duck as your choice, but because people did that in the 70s. But
and to anybody who doesn't live in the United States, vote in your country.
They have better turnout than we do. Page 228. Kent State, Fort in Ohio. So this is, wow, that was 50 years ago now.
Wow.
So, of course, many people know this is the infamous incident where there was a anti-war protest on Kent State campus in Ohio. There had been some unrest the day before, and the governor called out the National Guard, who marched onto the campus with light ammunition and their rifles. And there was a protest. I think some students may have thrown bottles or something like that, and they opened fire on the crowd. And some of the people they shot were just kids going to class. And 4 students were killed. And you know Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song, which captures it. But There's really good historical stuff in this month's previews.
Yeah, definitely.
This, yeah, Tiananmen Square. Terry Moore's 5 Years is tremendous. Again, his latest installment in the saga of his Moore. Is he called his Mooreverse? Or are we calling it that? I don't know, but
It's as good a name as any.
yeah, it's Kachu, it's Francine, it's that whole world. It doesn't get any better. I myself didn't have a lot more to talk about in the rest of the book myself.
I'll go to page 252.
Okay.
Amigo Comics. Victor Santos, a name that's familiar to some of us, has a new Zombie Hunter series called Ezekiel Himes Zombie Hunter, with art by Alberto Hernandez. From Eisner-nominated Victor Santos of Polar and Violent Love, and Alberto Hernandez from Crossover, comes a zombie apocalypse thriller packed with action. The living dead triumphed, and now on the top are the fathers, undead with telepathic powers, and the living form the base of the food chain. And there, Ezekiel Himes looks for vengeance.
Beautiful cover.
Oh, yeah.
I have to read Polar. I've never read it. I know it's a Netflix movie, too.
Yep.
Ian, I want to ask you this. I'm on page 262.
Mhm.
So they're bringing Turner's Fathom back.
Okay.
Did you ever read this series?
Oh, very hit or miss. Like maybe 2 or 3 issues as it was coming out. I always respected Mike Turner while he was around, but his art style was never my favorite.
Okay.
And I only really ever read him when he was, on books that I was already reading. Like, say, for example, the run of Batman Superman that he did, where they.
I remember that. Yep.
But yeah, this is. It's nice to at least see Fathom back in a form other than reusing Michael Turner's old pinups, which they tend to do a lot over at Aspen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to see it still living in one form.
Back under Aftershocks, on page 236. This is something new that they're coming out with this month. It's another series about the dead coming back to life, but with a slightly different approach. It's not the dead coming back to eat the flesh of the living so much. It's the dead coming back for an anticipated annual holiday. When they interact with loved ones, sometimes just go to party a little bit, and yes, sometimes they do enact bloody revenge. But it's a slightly more diverse range of activities for the living dead in this series called Dead Day, written by Ryan Parrott, best known for his Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comics for Boom Studios. So just a little change of pace from the more typical zombie comic, it looks like.
Sure.
I'm looking at page 287 of Dead Reckoning, a graphic biography of Winston Churchill. Toweringly important figure in the 20th century. Below that, from Devil's Due, Some Lover, Some Hater, Alexander Ocasio-Cortez and the Freshman Force. Ballot Box Collection trade paperback.
Oh, boy.
Written by Josh Blaylock, art by Jill Thompson.
All right.
And varies.
Page 264 under Avatar.
Yes.
Some newbie to the business. His name is Alan Moore. Has a complete collection of Cinema Purgatorio. I remember hearing about this as it was coming out, and I never did check it out. But here's a complete collection that might be easier to do it with. It's only $20 at regular price, so I imagine discounts on Amazon and DCBS and what have you would be pretty good. But Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill invite you to take a trip through the dark recesses of cinema in their first major project together since The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. The power of movies, the people behind it, the damage it has done, and the story of one woman forced to bare her soul is all unspooled, one short film at a time.
Yes.
I'm looking at page. Go ahead, Mert. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that we are looking at this the day after Oscar night, but Yeah,
Yes.
that's Alan Moore's meditation on the medium of movies. It was the lead feature in an eponymous anthology that came out through Avatar for a long time, 18 or 19 issues all told, and also contained several other backup features, stuff like Garth Ennis's Code Prue, material by Kieran Gillen, and a bunch of other creators of darker material. So this is just a collection of the Cinema Purgatorio strips from each issue of the Cinema Purgatorio anthology, all brought together in one handy-dandy volume. So if you just want to read the Moore and O'Neill stuff without any of the other features, this is a good way to go about doing that.
Excellent.
All right, I have a family thing that's breaking out upstairs, gentlemen, so I have to depart in just a few minutes.
No worries.
I just got to go deal with the teenager. But quickly, nice to see on page 292, Peter Bagg. I always loved his comic Hate. And he's doing a history of the Zora Neale Hurston story. So very important African-American in American history. That's great to see Bagg's work. On the next page, I always enjoyed the work of Adrian Tomine. He did wonderful slice of life books about, sort of people in like that netherworld before family, shortcomings, scenes for impending marriage, Summer Blonde, all great stuff. So if you like stories like Strangers in Paradise or The Waiting Place or books like that, you should definitely give his work a shot. The other thing I want to mention, because I always have to mention because it's just essential, is Tomorrow's. Just before I head out here. Back issue on page 361, back issue 120. Heroes of Tomorrow with a Mon-El hero history, Legionnaires, and the controversial Legion of Superheroes 5 years later, which I think Peter was a fan of, if I remember correctly. My Uncle Star Slayer, Charlton Space 1999 tie-in. And then on Retro Fan Magazine number 9, wait for it, interviews with 70s Captain America Reb Brown. Oh,
Wow.
damn. All right, brothers, forgive me. I must attend to a domestic duty.
No worries.
I'll leave the last few, I think we're almost done anyway, the last few pages in your care. And we shall all talk very soon, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We
Sounds
shall-
good to me.
and-
man.
Excellent. All right, brothers, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Good night, Chris.
Good night.
Okie dokie.
Yes.
Well, it's just you and me.
When fatherhood calls, he must answer.
Indeed. So where do we leave off for you, Murd?
Well, we were both talking about Cinema Purgatorio.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be the next thing for you?
I'm honestly, I don't really have a lot much, to be entirely honest with you. So whatever you have next, be my guest.
Well, I don't have very many things for the back of the book this month either. I mean, it's February. This is kind of the silly season for comics. But I did want to bring up as an Ozophile on page 285. Clover Press is bringing out a new edition with original illustrations by Sarah Richard, who also provided the cover art, and an introduction by big-time Oz fan Eric Shanower. Ruth Plumley Thompson's The Royal Book of Oz, 15th in the series and the first to be published after the death of Oz creator L. Frank Baum. And the solicitation copy goes well out of its way to tell you that it was originally published under Baum's name, and it wasn't until sometime later that Plumley Thompson was credited as the actual author. This is not the first edition of this book with Thompson's name on the cover. That was several decades ago. And I, of course, have read this book a couple of times over. It's the first of Thompson's books, which I hold in nearly as high esteem as Baum's, and some of them I actually think are better than Baum's, so I'll just go out and say it. I should mention, though, for those of you thinking of giving this book a try, Clover Press is kind of leaning on social justice here to sell their edition. This is Plumley Thompson was a woman writing this Oz book, and she wasn't credited. She had to appear under the pseudonym of the original author, which is all well and good, but what they're not telling you is that this book contains quite a few, by today's standards, atrocious Asian stereotypes. It's all about the Scarecrow investigating his origins and discovering that he may well be the reincarnation of the emperor of a subterranean, quote-unquote, Oriental civilization called the Silver Islands. Apparently the beanpole on which Dorothy found him hanging in that Munchkin cornfield all those years ago was sprouted from the remains of the deceased emperor of this kingdom. He'd been magically transformed into a crocus, and then when the crocus that was the emperor died, this beanpole sprouted from its roots, and apparently the soul of the emperor entered the first thing that made contact with it, which was the Scarecrow. This is one possible backstory for the Scarecrow, one possible secret origin. The book doesn't really definitively say this is how the Scarecrow is able to walk and talk autonomously, although the people of the Silver Island certainly believe so because they kind of forced the Scarecrow to become their emperor, and the Scarecrow is not happy with this arrangement at all. And so, those of you who wish to avoid being spared exposure to outdated portrayals of Asian culture, maybe don't give this book a try. But if all you're interested in is the history of Oz fantasy literature, well, sure, give it a try. It's an important moment in the history of the Oz canon because it's the first time the torch was passed from the original author of the Oz books to his successor.
And the Academy Award goes to Parasite.
Yes, all of them, apparently.
Yes. No, it's just funny to bring something like that up. Like the day after, like we made leaps and bounds in Asian culture being recognized. Now here we are with something from a long time ago, which not so much.
Right. People walking around in basket hats and long braids, eating dogs and cats.
Yep. Exactly.
That's the sort of stuff you can expect from the Royal Book of Oz.
I've got on page 291 out of Disney Hyperion, Amelia Earhart, This Broad Ocean, written by Sarah Stewart Taylor, art by Ben Towell. Amelia Earhart developed a love of flying at a very young age. What began as a simple joy became something much deeper, a commitment to open doors for all women. And as Amelia built a name for herself in the field of aviation, breaking numerous records along the way, she inspired future trailblazers to soar to new heights. And this is one of my favorites, one that's immediately available as both a soft cover and a hardcover.
Right.
So you can go either way with that. And looks like it would be something good for your daughter or for yourself, for that matter. Whoever you happen to be.
Yep, I appreciate it being offered in those two formats right off the bat also.
Yep.
On page 297, something for fans of Los Bros Hernandez, we've got a new Love and Rockets spin-off series called Psychodrama Illustrated. I've never read Love and Rockets myself, so I don't know the characters, but it features Fritz and her extended family in a series of stories about Fritz's film career that bend Fritz's reality. All I know is that it features a lady singing Emerson, Lake, and Palmer songs, and that's plenty okay by me.
Nice. Yeah, I've yet to read any myself, to be honest. So that's it's nice to see that the universe continuing in one form or another, either way.
And how?
I got on page 306. The name immediately drew me to it. Bird and Squirrel. Volume 6, All or Nothing. So you got 6 other volumes of this, but it looks like some fun animated series-esque stuff for the kiddies out of graphics. So just some bird and squirrel action going on there. Immediately, I thought of Rocky and Bullwinkle. So close enough.
And it also is available in softcover or hardcover right away.
Yep. Moving forward down. Humanoids on 308. Omni Volume 1 is out. Speaking of Devin Grayson, her ongoing series out of Humanoids, the first 6 issues is now 4 issues is collected for your pleasure there. So if you want to catch up, that's a good way to do so, as issue 7 is solicited this month by a new writer. So Devin Grayson wrote those issues, and now Omni number 7 is being written by Melody Cooper, with Giovanni Valletta on art. I think I'm going down to manga, so if you get anything in between, go right ahead.
Oh, wow, we're going way down then.
I know. It's weird. It's one of those months, man, where like I I did my best to try and find stuff that caught my interest, and there really is not a lot this month. But if I find anything while I'm scrolling down, I'll certainly mention it.
Okay, well, let me throw out a couple of quick things as we go here. On page 337, under Oni/Lionforge, issue 7 of 7 of the 7 Days miniseries, which is Gail Simone's attempt at building a superhero universe with some characters of Lionforges from the ground up. It's mainly the Gail Simone and the world building that attracted me to this. So I've got all the issues thus far. I'll certainly get the 7th. Page 339, the 9th original Loud House graphic novel is coming out, also in softcover or hardcover. Like most of the others, I expect it's going to be a collection of short stories. This one focusing on main character Lincoln Loud and his circle of middle school friends. Yeah, I don't think I've got much else between there and the end of the book.
Well, let me throw out on page 319, since I was scrolling by, I happened to catch it. Gen Pet, written by Damien and illustrated by Alex Fuentes. In the year 2036, rich young Nat Kanan gets a genetically engineered pet as a bodyguard, and just in time, too. His dad is in debt and some nasty criminal gangsters, and now they've set their sights on Nat's new Gen Pet. Very, very cool art here by Alex Fuentes. And I like the cover treatment, and I just like the concept. So it's a new series by just straight up Damien, whatever his last name happens to be, out of Magnetic, which is Magnetic Press is not a press I'm really that familiar with. So happy to see some new stuff out of some new press.
Yeah, I really do like the character design on the titular Gen Pet. It's like Al Cap's Shmoo turned luchador.
Yeah, no, I could easily see some toys and merchandise being made out of those two.
Totally.
We got on 322 from Mango, Back to the Future, a celebration greatest of the franchise that defined the time travel genre. So yeah, it's all about Back to the Future. That's really all you know. It's a reference book. It's about Back to the Future. Any of you DeLorean heads will be able to get some further knowledge on your favorite movies from that collection. And I see Colin Bunn has a new series on page 326, Rogue Planet #1. Colin Bunn and Andy McDonald. Looks cool. It's space action and some nice spaceship art on there, too.
Yep.
Always down for that.
Yep, and Cullen Bunn is a name I've learned to trust, so sure. It's a well-established genre of storytelling with a well-established writer, so you could do worse than give it a try.
Yep. And it does look like, Murd, that Oni has not lost the Rick and Morty license. I think they just ended the ongoing and are going with miniseries instead. Huh. Since it looks like we have Rick and Morty Go to Hell #1 solicited here, and Rick and Morty Presents Council of Ricks #1 on 327 and 328.
Yeah, I think I may try Council of Ricks.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. Alrighty. Now I scroll down even further into that amazing world known as manga. Let's see here. Let's make the magic happen. Scroll faster, PDF. Scroll faster. Alright. Titan, yada, yada, yada. So close, so close. Man, you don't realize how long the book is until you're just scrolling as fast as you can.
Don't carpal tunnel yourself now.
Oh, I'm not. It's a two-finger action right now. Scroll, scroll, scroll. All right, let's see. There we are. Passing Valiant. Not much out of there. Okay, here we go. Manga, here we go. Let's see. Something that's not too porny would be nice. There we go. Okay. I love that. Like always the first couple of ones when you get to the manga section are the ones that look like they're not for kids. All right.
Kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm stepping on you here, Ian. On page 396, it looks like they're doing Transformers the manga a second month in a row, still in hardcover, but this time it's a Diamond exclusive foil cover.
Ooh. Yeah. So if you want something shiny, that's a good way to do that. 2 pages up, 394. Udon is putting out Street Fighter World Warrior Encyclopedia, the arcade edition. That's a mouthful, but so is pretty much every single title in the Street Fighter universe to begin with. So they might as well just continue that. It's essentially a who's who for the Street Fighter world. So if you're interested in some obscure characters or some more well-known characters, Udon's got you covered. They're going to do the entire Street Fighter universe, or as much of it as they can fit into one volume. Ooh, Kirby Art and Style Collection on $3.99 for 25 years of Kirby. If you're a fan of that pink blob that eats things, you're covered.
Yep, I spent many hours on my first generation Game Boy getting to know that little pink blob.
Nice. And on there, he just looked black and white.
Yeah, I don't think I knew he was pink until quite some time later. I remember seeing TV ads for those Kirby games. I'm not sure he was pink in those.
That's a good question. Yeah, I might have to try to track some of those down on YouTube and see whether or not they did have the coloring down on him at that point. And I'm looking. Yeah, even the manga are in the middle of most volumes at this point. Not a lot of new stuff to be found. All right, I'll go to 410 out of Denpa. My buddies over at Denpa. Goyabano Holiday. Beloved indie manga artist Pan Panya discovers the wonders of the Goyabano fruit and the Philippines. A trip to Tokyo's Asian Market District. Amayokocho leads the Protrag on a trip to hunt down the mysterious Goyabano fruit. Little does the Protag and their crew know that their curiosity will take them on a wild and mouth-watering trip to the Philippines.
Wow, well, I am a big fan of fruit-based adventure, so maybe I'll have to try that.
You and me both, honestly, and I like travel manga a lot. You don't find that genre as much as I'd like, and this is a little bit of an adventure strip from the looks of it. So that'll be right up people's alley, I would hope. And on that very same page as well, if you're getting even hungrier, there's Udon Noodle Soup, Little Tales for Little Things. I don't even want to read the solicitation for it. It's called Udon Noodle Soup. It's bound to make you hungry.
Right. Let's just assume that it's about soup.
Exactly. And with that, I believe I call it a day.
All right. And once again, we are giving the back of the book a miss.
Yep. Yeah. Not much. Not much there. Oh, you know what? Actually, why not? Right on page 423, I'm sure they have it in another place as well, but there's a Baby Yoda shirt and a I Have Spoken shirt. And I may wind up getting the I Have Spoken shirt. Kuil has spoken.
I'll laugh even harder at that once I've actually seen The Mandalorian, I'm sure.
Yes, that is true. I have spoken.
All right, then I too have spoken, and Chris has spoken.
All right.
And now that we're all done with our assorted spokening, I think the time has come for us to put this one to bed. If you'd like to send us an email, the address is comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave a voicemail, you can call 267-702-6642. You can like us on Facebook. You can join the Comic Geek Speak supergroup on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @ComicGeekSpeak. You can go to thecomicforums.vanillacommunity.com, which is our good old tried and true online forum where you can leave feedback about this episode or a variety of other episodes of our show, and also converse with your fellow geeks and friends of the show on a wide range of geeky topics, not limited to the podcast itself. We would like to give special thanks to those of you who have donated monetarily to the show in the past. We really appreciate it. The show would not be what it is today without your support. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.
You got it on Wednesday, and you was psyched about it, going to the volume up. These guys will talk about it, everything that geeks love. From cakes to laser beams, opinions like the seasons, on everything you read in comics, movies, games, toys, artists, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak. uniting the world's mightiest heroes. This